It was an interesting path. I came to America after playing some years with the New Zealand national volleyball team, and was able to play at a university there in the States, and from there played a little bit overseas as a professional in Europe and in Asia, in Japan, and went back to go to school, to graduate school, and was coaching as a means to that end, and that was it. From a city in New Zealand called Christchurch, and when I was 14, my father died, so it's just my mother and myself, and I have a sister who's older than I am. So we have a small family, but we're very close. Christchurch is in the South Island of New Zealand, and it's a coastal city. It's nice. I like it there a lot. Sure, it was a significant issue for us because in Colorado Springs, where we were training, it was about 2,000 meters above sea level, and at that altitude, the ball travels much further because the air is thinner and the humidity is very low, and so a jump serve at 110 kilometers would travel about 1 meter further at altitude than it would at sea level. And so when we're talking about serving and reception, it's a big problem. So we had to move to somewhere at sea level, and Anaheim, California was the best choice. I think takes a lot of hard work, of course, as for all the countries, but even though it's not a big sport, we have a strong tradition, and so I think we're able to recruit some good athletes to play. And obviously, there are a lot of good volleyball athletes playing in the NBA, playing in the NFL, playing different sports in America. But there are still some very good people playing volleyball, and even though it's a small sport, we try and make sure that it's strong. We have to expand the grassroots programs, the youth and junior programs, make sure that for us, for the U.S., that those athletes are getting more international experience. Of course, the college volleyball system is very strong in the U.S., but for various reasons, it's not the best for volleyball athletes because the NCAA, they regulate some of the training opportunities and match opportunities for the athletes. So I think we have to get as many international matches as we can for our younger players. Yeah, there's certainly a strong alliance between all the U.S. coaches. It's very much like a family. Everyone offers to help, and it's a very good environment. Yeah, it's very strong. And I think the environment in the early 80s and the environment today is a little bit different because back then the team was training all year round and they were together all the time. And now, of course, all the players play in Europe or in Asia with their club teams, and then we only get them for a short amount of time. So it's very hard for us to organize something like that these days because we only get such a short time with the players. Well, for us personally, we've tried very hard to work on this because when they're with the club, it's they're obviously not with us, so we can't train them in our techniques and our systems. So we've worked very hard to establish a system where we keep in contact with the players all year round. I travel quite a bit to visit the players in their clubs overseas, and we try and get matches, DVDs, and so on and so forth from from the players, and we look at them and give them some advice from what we see, and just try and keep the connection between the national team and the players for the whole year. I guess I only listen to our guys. I'm not. I mean, of course, we're watching the other teams, but I don't know what they're saying. But for us, we think that the tactics of the game and making sure that we are in a good position on every play is very important, and so we encourage that exchange between the athletes. I think it was a little bit of a surprise for us because, with Italy and France, two very strong teams, and for us, we've had a good year in 2005, and then an average year last year. I don't think we performed up to our expectation. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a surprise, but I always believed that our team was good enough. So, in one hand, yeah, I think other people would be surprised, but for me, I always think that we can be good. Well, many reasons. They have good players. They have good coaching. They have the ability to run the game at a faster speed than anyone else is playing. So they've had that core group of players for a long time, and I think that's important. That they have. Ricardo and Giba and Nascimento and Gustavo. I mean, they've all played for a long time together. I think that's important in today's game. Certainly at the World Championships, they took a step up, I think. After they lost in the first round, I think they made some changes, and they were doing some things quite differently. And so I think it's always going to be a challenge, but the thing you have to hope when you play against Brazil is that you can play them for a long time. If you can get into a long match with them, then you have a chance. But because they play so much faster, there's high speed, there's also some risk. So if you can increase the duration of the match, then maybe the risk can pay off, Brazil has to be favored. Even though it's here in Poland, and I'm sure the crowd will be a factor, but obviously Brazil was so dominant over Poland in the finals of the World Championship, so I think Brazil's probably the favorite, but don't count USA out.